Macbeth is probably the only titular character who arrives fashionably late to his own play. Shakespeare makes us wait, and every second of that wait is carefully planned. This is Between the Lines with Smitha. Today we'll explore the deeper meanings hidden within great literature and discover why great writers make the choices they do. In our previous lesson, Shakespeare plunged us into a world of thunder, lightning, witches, and moral confusion. Nature itself seemed disturbed. The famous paradox, fair is foul and foul is fair, warned us that appearance could not be trusted. But now everything changes. The supernatural disappears, and the scene shifts to a battlefield, and instead of darkness and mystery, we enter a world of courage, loyalty, and victory. And yet, the man whose name appears in the title is nowhere to be seen. Why? Why does Shakespeare deliberately delay Macbeth's entrance? That's the question we'll answer in today's lesson. Because Shakespeare wants us to meet Macbeth long before he walks onto the stage. Not through his own words, but through the voice of others and lavish praise. By the time the audience meets Macbeth, they have already formed an opinion of him. Instead of introducing Macbeth directly, Shakespeare lets three different voices construct Macbeth's heroic reputation. The voices are those of the wounded captain, King Duncan, and Ross. Each adds one layer to Macbeth's legend. Each increases our anticipation. Each makes us eager to meet the man everyone is talking about. Thus, Shakespeare builds an elevated impression of Macbeth through his delayed entrance and the indirect characterization by the captain, King Duncan, and Ross. The first voice is of the wounded captain who claims Macbeth deserves to be called brave. For brave Macbeth, well, he deserves that name. The captain's first description immediately establishes Macbeth's reputation before he appears on stage. The adjective brave suggests not only physical courage but also honor, loyalty, and military excellence, qualities admired in a feudal warrior. More importantly, the phrase deserves that name implies that bravery is not merely a label but something Macbeth has earned through his actions on the battlefield. Shakespeare therefore uses indirect characterization, allowing another respected character to authenticate Macbeth's heroism. By hearing this praise before meeting Macbeth, the audience forms an image of him as Scotland's ideal warrior, making his later moral collapse all the more tragic. The captain continues, bestowing upon Macbeth the epithet of Valour's minion. This metaphor elevates Macbeth beyond an ordinary soldier. By calling him Valour's minion, the captain suggests that Macbeth is the favored champion of courage itself, as though bravery were a powerful force that has chosen him above all others. The personification of valor gives the abstract quality of courage an almost divine status, making Macbeth seem heroic and larger than life, Shakespeare continues to build Macbeth's legendary reputation through indirect characterization, presenting him as the very embodiment of martial excellence before the audience meets him. The captain further describes how Macbeth carved out his passage. This vivid metaphor portrays Macbeth as an unstoppable force on the battlefield. The verb carved suggests deliberate, powerful, and almost artistic violence, implying that Macbeth cuts through enemy soldiers as if they were obstacles to be sculpted away. The phrase his passage emphasizes his determination and dominance as he creates his own path to victory rather than waiting for opportunities. Shakespeare uses this image to reinforce Macbeth's extraordinary military prowess, presenting him as a warrior who overcomes every obstacle through sheer courage and skill. Another phrase that deserves attention is disdaining fortune. This phrase presents Macbeth as a man who refuses to be ruled by fate or chance. The verb disdaining conveys contempt and superiority, suggesting that Macbeth triumphs through his own courage rather than relying on luck. Shakespeare personifies fortune as a force capable of influencing battle. Yet Macbeth appears powerful enough to defy it. This elevates him from a skilled soldier to an almost mythical hero whose determination overcomes even destiny itself. Ironically, later in the play, the same Macbeth becomes increasingly dependent on the witch's prophecies, showing how dramatically his character changes. After this, Shakespeare amplifies Macbeth's heroism through royal recognition. With his exclamation, "O valiant cousin, worthy gentleman," King Duncan publicly recognizes Macbeth as both a courageous warrior and a man of honor. The adjective valiant celebrates his exceptional bravery in battle, while worthy suggests integrity, loyalty, and moral excellence. By calling him cousin, Duncan expresses both familial affection and political trust, emphasizing Macbeth's valued place within the Scottish nobility. This is how Shakespeare reinforces Macbeth's noble reputation through the king's own voice. This makes Macbeth's later betrayal of Duncan all the more shocking and tragic. Finally, Ross compares Macbeth to Bellona, the Roman goddess of war, through a powerful classical allusion. Calling him Bellona's bridegroom suggests that Macbeth is so perfectly suited to battle that he is metaphorically married to the goddess of war herself. The image elevates him beyond an ordinary soldier, portraying him as war's chosen champion. It reinforces his fearless skill, military prowess, and almost superhuman reputation. Thus, Shakespeare further builds Macbeth's legendary status before he appears on stage. So we see how Shakespeare carefully constructs Macbeth's image as Scotland's greatest hero through the praise of three authoritative voices: the captain, King Duncan, and Ross. The significance of this construction lies in its tragic effect. Shakespeare raises Macbeth to the height of honor so that his transformation into a tyrant feels all the more devastating. The greater the hero, the steeper the fall. Macbeth's journey from Scotland's celebrated saviour to its dead butcher becomes one of literature's most powerful examples of a tragic downfall. By delaying Macbeth's entrance and constructing his reputation through the admiration of others, Shakespeare creates anticipation, curiosity, and emotional investment. The audience first sees Macbeth as Scotland's ideal hero, making his later transformation into a tyrant far more shocking and tragic. So that answers our question about Macbeth's delayed entrance. Now I'll leave you pondering over the situation. Shakespeare has spent two scenes convincing us that Macbeth is Scotland's greatest hero. So, why does his very first line echo the witch's words? Coincidence or the first crack in the hero's armor? Till we meet again, keep looking, keep questioning, keep reading between the lines. I'm Smitha. Thank you for joining me.